Completed 5 years.
And she does.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock. This point, call the public hearing. I'll have Mike Miller, our executive director, read Eagle Drive Holdings LLC bottling hearing number 1, and then we'll announce hearing number 2 to the reading LLC. Then we will take comments from the public if any.
Purpose here, pursuant to and in accordance with general municipal law section 859-A, the Cuyahoga County Industrial Development Agency is conducting this public hearing in connection with a certain proposed project. As more fully described below, to be undertaken by the agency for the benefit of Eagle Drive Holdings LLC. The agency published a notice of public hearing in the Citizen and mailed a copy of the notice of public hearing to each affected tax jurisdiction. An affidavit of publication and proof of mailing are attached. Eagle Drive Holdings LLC for itself and or for an entity or entities to be formed. Collectively, the company has submitted an application to the agency requesting the agency's assistance with a certain project consisting of A, the sale of the agency to the company with retained leasehold interest, certain agency-owned parcels of real property located off Eagle Drive within the town of Aurelius, Cuyahoga County, New York, being identified as tax map numbers 114.00-3-1, 114.00-3-5, 114.00-3-6.1, 114.00-3-7.1, 114.00-3-99.1, Eagle Drive, 0.507 acre portion, and 114.00-3-99.2. A 275 acre portion, so foregoing assemblage totaling approximately 28.174 acres of real property inherent to agency land, along with the retention of a leasehold interest in an additional approximately 7.45 acre portion of tax map number 114.00-3-2.1 for a total assemblage of approximately 35.632 acres of land. And as assembled and collectively herein the land. B, the planning, design, construction, and operation on the land by the company and or an agency approved company affiliate of approximately 225,000 square foot aseptic milk product processing, bottling, packaging, warehousing facility, including product handling, bottling, packaging, warehousing, office, and related flex spaces, along with exterior improvements upon, within, and adjacent to the land to include wastewater treatment facilities, stormwater retention improvements, parking improvements, landscaping, driveway, curbage, utility improvements, product and waste transmission conveyance improvements. C, the acquisition and installation in and around the improvements of certain machinery, equipment, and other items, tangible personal property, the equipment, and together with the land and improvements facility. And D, the lease of the facility by the agency to the company pursuant to a straight lease transaction as defined within the act. It is contemplated that the agency will acquire and or retain a leasehold interest in the facility as applicable and lease the facility back to the company. The company will own and operate the facility during the term of the leases. The agency contemplates that it will provide financial assistance to the company in the form of A, the sales and use tax exemption for purchases and rentals related to the project, and B, a partial real property tax abatement structure through a pilot agreement. The foregoing financial assistance and the agency's involvement in the project are being considered to promote the economic welfare and prosperity of residents of the county of Cuyahoga. Agency cost benefit analysis. Based upon information provided by the company in its application, the project will involve an approximately $183 million capital investment by the company, along with the payments of new revenues for the benefit of the affected taxing jurisdictions. The company estimates that the following amounts of financial assistance to be provided to the company. Estimated real estate tax savings in the amount of $16,660,791. Estimated sales tax savings in the amount of $6,400,000. Total estimated financial assistance is $23,060,791. Now opening up public comment. Ben?
Garrett is looking to pop in. Oh, I'm sure you'd love to hear the next one too.
Can you hear us, Jared? Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Can you hear us? Just thumbs up, maybe.
You have a speaker on that or?
Did you? Oh, maybe you didn't. Yeah, it's me. You plugged it in. I don't know. Is your speaker muted? I don't know.
Can you hear me? I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Probably been get it over. Second.
We do both simultaneously.
Sure.
Yeah, we can leave this one open and
Yeah.
if you read an abridged version of the next one, that would be okay.
I can do that.
Yeah, or at least read fast.
That one's extra long.
Doing protocol.
Yeah, I can do that. All right. Purpose, this is for Cuba Milk Ingredients LLC project. Purpose, pursuant to and in accordance with GL Law Section 859A, Cuba County IDA is considering this public hearing in connection with a certain proposed project, more fully described below, to be undertaken by the agency for the benefit of Cuba Milk Ingredients LLC. The agency published a notice of public hearing, the citizen and mailed a copy the notice of public hearing to each affected tax jurisdiction. Affidavit of publication and proof of mailing are attached. The agency previously undertook a certain project consisting of A, the sale or lease of the company to Cuba Milk Ingredients of approximately 25-acre parcel of land located off Eagle Drive within the agency-owned Aurelius Industrial Park, town of Aurelius, Cuba County, New York. B, the planning, design, and construction and operation of the land by the company of an approximately 108,000 square foot dairy ingredients processing facility. C, the acquisition and installation in and around the improvements of certain machinery, equipment, and other items of tangible personal property. D, planning, design, and construction and operation on the land by the company of certain wastewater treatment and solid waste disposal building improvements and related equipment to serve the improvements. E, as the election of the company, the issuance by the agency of its exempt facility revenue bonds in a principal amount not to exceed 30 million. The purpose of financing treatment facility in accordance with applicable provisions of the IRS code relating to sewer treatment and solid waste disposal. F, paying certain costs and expenses incidental to the issuance of the bonds and or establishment of debt service reserve funds. And G, the lease or sale of the agency's interest in the facility back to the company. The agency and company undertook the 2012 project pursuant to a straight lease transaction as defined within the act, which included and was memorialized with certain project documents. The agency also previously undertook a certain project consisting of the appointment of the company as agent of the agency to undertake the planning, design, construction, and operation of approximately 3,000 square feet of building additions to the 2012 facility, including approximately 24,008 square feet addition at approximately 100 feet tall. The house product evaporation and finishing equipment. Approximately 500 square foot silo tank hauler and dryer addition, along with additional building and site improvements and modifications within and around the 2012 improvements. The acquisition of and installation in and around the land in 2012 improvements and 2020 improvements by the company of machinery, equipment, fixtures, and other items, tangible personal property, including silos, tanks, membrances, boilers, and wastewater treatment facility. The agency and company undertook the 2020 project pursuant to a certain agent financial assistance and project agreement dated as of June 16th, 2020, along with related documents. Cayuga Milk ingredients for itself and for an entity or entities to be formed has now submitted an application to the agency requesting the agency's assistance with a certain project consisting of 1, retention of the agency of a leasehold interest in the land subject to A, removal of approximately 7.4 acre portion of the land to be transferred by the company to an affiliate, and B, the sale of the agency to the company of approximately 10.3 acres of real property identified as lot 4. And tax map numbers as identified here to be incorporated into the 2012 facility and 2020 facility. 2, the appointment of the company as agent to the agency to undertake the planning, design, construction, and operation of certain improvements to the 2012 facility and 2020 facility, included expanded milk product receiving bays, establishment of trucking and parking improvements, along with additional building and site improvements, modifications within and around the 2012 improvements, 2020 improvements, of agency lands. 3, the acquisition of and installation in and around the land, agency lands, 2012 improvements, 2020 improvements, and improvements by the company. Machinery, equipment, fixtures, and other items, tangible personal property, and wastewater treatment equipment. 3, amendment of the 2012 project documents to provide for a continuing straight lease transaction. It is contemplated that the agency will acquire and or retain a leasehold interest in the facility as applicable and lease the facility back to the company. The company will own and operate the facility during the term of the leases. The agency contemplates that it will provide financial assistance to the company in the form of A, sales use tax exemption for purchases and rentals related to the project, and B, partial real property tax abatement structured through a pilot. Foregoing financial assistance and the agency's involvement in the project are being considered to promote the economic welfare and prosperity of residents in the county of Cayuga. Cost benefit analysis. Based upon information provided by the company in its application, the project will involve an approximately $15 million capital investment by the company, along with the payment of new revenues for the benefit of the affected taxing jurisdictions. The agency estimates the following amounts of financial assistance be provided to the company. The amount of real estate tax savings of $732,461 and sales tax savings in the amount of $720,000. Total assistance being $1,452,461.
Thank you. Comments in public? Becky, you want to go over the project, Brian? Or would you like me to talk about it with some of our guests?
Sure.
Again, if any comments, just chime in.
So this is gonna be, I guess you can see this. If you kind of, come on, I was gonna hold them. Dan, you want to come up? So this is the, where ship is standing is where you're in right now. So that's the plant that you're sitting in. This is the entrance right there, that's where we are sitting right. And we're sitting right behind those silos. We're gonna be putting in new receiving bays, UF system as part of, not part of this, but this site is also expanding. So at the same time, it's actually part of the $170 million project. So this is the new facility. And this is about $170 million investment, plus or minus, hopefully minus. And then this is going to have separate receiving bays. It's going to be an ESL aseptic facility. So to be able to do aseptic products such as like protein drinks, value-added milks, et cetera. And then ESL machinery as well. So this is the, if you look at this, this is the footprint of the building we're in now, about 108,000 square feet. You can see the footprint of the new building. It's about 2.5 times the size of square feet.
But total of 264,000 square.
So maybe talk a little bit about that, because the first floor is 235.
Yeah.
And then there's another 30,000 square feet. That's the second floor. What does that all mean?
That's all, there's basically mezzanine units for motor room for all of the pumps and distribution equipment for all of the different utilities. There's also areas where we have spaces above on the second floor that are also used as utility, as actual feeds into the space below. So we may have a mixing room or something like that. We'll have a heat exchanger that'll be up on the second floor. So ultimately what you're doing is very simple processes on a relatively large scale. Ultimately, everything is received in through here, goes through this area right in here to go to be received into the silos. Goes through this area, gets processed, goes through here, gets filler. This is all the packaging lines, and that's all the warehouse.
And so lot 4 is basically, as you come in here, it'll be out here. Where we're gonna stage, how many parking spots? Almost 80?
There's, it's 81, but I'm not sure. Sorry.
No,
I'm just.
So about
It
80 trucks can be staged to come into either site. Because you can imagine, and you can see that there's receiving bays here, there's also receiving bays over there. They all have to be staged to come in, and they also have to be sometimes loaded out. So a lot of times we're bringing raw milk in, but we're loading out cream, or we're loading out condensed milk or UF milk. You can jump in anytime you want to. It's too dirty. Sound good? So this is the site, and you can see the warehouse is out here. So the road you came in, you came up and parked into here. You just keep going straight, and that's where the new warehouse will be. So it's really separate as you go in. So the truck traffic for finished goods, and this is all going to be finished goods. So when you look at the plants, this is what we call an ingredient plant. So the plant you're in right now is an ingredient plant. So it's powder, it's tanker loads of cream, it's tanker loads of condensed or ultra filtered milk. That's the product that's going to go into somebody else's product. So if you're Kraft and you make Philadelphia cream cheese, buy tanker loads of cream from us, and you make it out of the cream that we send to them. So we don't sell really a finished product out of this. We sell product that someone else uses for a finished product. This is a consumer products plant. The difference is we're gonna have finished goods coming out of there. We're gonna have everything's gonna be packaged, everything's gonna be someone's label. And it's a completely different type of customer base. This is really a global business. So our biggest customer, I was just talking to him today. We're shipping to Asia, we're shipping to China, we're shipping to Ireland, we're shipping all over the world. And we're trying to open up Mexico with that same customer as we speak. And that's where we sell a lot of bulk powders and specialty powders. And then we also sell specialty powders called MPCs and MPIs, milk protein concentrates, which are concentrated proteins, taking the lactose out. And so what happens is this facility was made to do not just normal powder, but value-added powders and they go into value-added products. So it's really well positioned. And then we do things like ultra filtered milk, and we'll sell to someone like a Chobani, and they make their zero yogurt out of it. So there's no sugar in it. And that's because we have done the same thing when we sell the liquid. So there's liquid forms of that, and then there's powder forms of that. This plant can take that same product and put it into products over here. So we can either take a powder product and rehydrate it, or you can take a liquid and actually put it into products over here as well. Whether it's cream, condensed, UF, what have you. So we're trying to have complementary ingredients that come into this facility. And we used to have this one line, now we're going to have more. And I know this is public, but I'll talk a little bit about the fact that we now have more lines that are going to come in here. And one side is ESL and one side is aseptic. So the blue side has to be refrigerated. So ESL is extended shelf life, but it needs to be refrigerated still. So it's filled at about 38 to 39 degrees, below 40 degrees. Has to stay refrigerated. This side here is aseptic, and you can see all the green that goes with it. The tanks are green, the batching. This is what we call an RO system. You might want to talk a little bit about the RO system and why that's important.
The RO system is basically, it's to prepare the water for use into the products. If it's a milk-based product, obviously comes in through the milk and goes through the processor. It goes through the RO system that's for the primarily the aseptic products.
Right, so you're gonna bring in a powder, let's say a milk protein concentrate product. And you're gonna put it into some kind of protein shake, which we would be able to do in this. You have to take that powder and rehydrate it with really clean water. So you take water in to really make it clean. You can't do that unless you do extra things like this. So in the milk industry, you know, we sell, like I said, commodity businesses are the existing plant when we're in. And that's for the most part, not as value added because it's, you know, it's more commodity driven. And this other plant is pretty much value added only. And it's a consumer products value added facility. So in other words, milk has been going down in consumption about 2% a year for the last 10 years. We're investing in things and going, okay, it's going down in sales. You got to put another big milk plant. So what this means is this is actually all things where you can do like lactose-free milks, we can do protein drinks, we can do protein shakes, we can do cream items like half and half and whipping cream. And when you look at all the different categories that we're talking about here, at the consumer level, they're all growing. People are eating more whipping cream. Anybody want to know why? You're an athlete, why are people eating more whipping cream?
It's good energy in it.
Keto. I mean, you start thinking about, you know, you're gonna get into ketosis. You're not supposed to have sugar. Whipping cream has mostly fat, doesn't have a lot of sugar left in it. So people are actually up double digits on whipping cream. There's certain things like that that are going on in the marketplace. And we want to take advantage of it. And then there's also things like ultra filtered milk that go into this, people like Fairlife's product or Chobani products, what have you. When you look at that, they're all value added because they have less sugar and more protein, et cetera, like that. And then when you look at the protein drinks, they're up double digits and have been quite a while. People are, Jared, if he could talk, would tell you this. Every morning he gets up and has a protein drink, and that's what he has for breakfast. Because it's got the nutrition, protein that helps him keep, you know, satiety and not as hungry, but it also doesn't have the sugar in it. And so these products are what we call value added. They're all growing. So we're investing in what we call the value added side, where there's a little more value. There's also growing categories. So we feel like this is going to be a really good system. And it's a co-manufactured system. We're not doing this with our own brand, we're packing anybody else's. So we feel like you gotta have a really flexible, nimble system, and we have a lot of flexibility built into this. And we decided 10 years from now or 5 years from now to change out a machine, easily do that.
In the supply,
Pardon me?
will you have to have more supply or milk?
Well, the whole goal is that we're gonna just keep growing on this site and be able to do hopefully more of these types of plants down the road. Like, I know you've got a growth plan that we won't show that. We can actually duplicate this 2 more times on this site if we wanted to. There's room to do it. This is using what we just said, almost 30 acres for this, and then there's 10 acres for lot 4. This 235,000 square foot building on the footprint could be duplicated 2 more times.
And we could also really build this section right, it's made so you could build this section right here, add additional processing, add additional doors, add additional lines, add additional warehouse.
It's all made to be duplicated down the road, and it use the same receiving days and just add utilities into the systems that we have.
Everything's sized, everything from a utility standpoint is sized for extension. So all we have to do is plug in the boiler on the one end, plug in the filler on the other end, they're already
Just plug it in.
together, just like that.
Can you build up?
Not so much. No, it's gonna be pretty much out, but it's already a pretty big building because we have a 2nd floor. In here is gonna be our new office, as you can see. We're gonna be building an office. There's gonna be locker rooms. There's gonna be a micro lab. There's gonna be a pH lab, an analytic lab. There's gonna be a milk receiving lab. There's also going to be down on this part, let's see, right here. It's a place where we'll handle all the packaging, because you have to sample every 15 minutes. So every 15 minutes, you take product off the line, you can mostly test, you check to see if there's any microbiological problems. And then you have to do something with that. You can't sell it. So we're going to squeeze it, get rid of the cartons and process it with this. And that's all extra things that we put in here. So in the lab, they're all extra. We have an ingredient warehouse here that's right behind where you batch or blend. Packaging warehouse right where the packaging machines are, everything, we're limited. Having to go back and forth.
The reality is you basically just take a flow chart and we build it.
Pretty much.
Build a flow chart. everything comes in over here. This is where it's received, this is where it's received, everything, all gets received in through here, and everything comes out the other.
And I can honestly tell you, we've already changed this since we set this together. This is a month old, so, you know, we can show you the new one, but we have to get it. So,
Building hasn't changed, but that's the whole point. You can do, take care of take opportunities inside the business.
yes, sir.
Filtering of the water. I mean, this product goes into baby foods. So it's gotta be pretty.
Well, it's really going into more like aseptic product that's going to be packaged. And aseptic products are packaged warm and then they're left in an ambient, and they're sterile, completely sterile, and the shelf life will be 6 to 9 months, so you can't have anything in it. So you gotta have really sterile water.
So when you receive the water, you're gonna clean it up even more.
Correct, that's what this system is right up here in green.
Yeah, there's a pressurized charcoal stainless steel. I mean, it goes through a whole membrane process. I mean, it's significant and it's all specific to the customer. You have to provide exactly what the level that the customer provides, and this one provides everything that you would need for any potential customer. We actually have to go above and beyond what we would, our normal expectation would be, just because that way you're able to be accessible to any customer that comes in.
Sales from the new plant. 10 million, 50, 100 worldwide.
They're not gonna be worldwide, I mean, basically, that's gonna be a domestic facility, I mean, we're gonna ship things within the United States. For the most part, it's even hard to ship into Canada. But because it's long shelf life, we can end up shipping it, you know, outside and stuff like that. My previous life, I worked for a company where we ship across the Pacific, so we could actually ship across the Atlantic or oceans, because you can service places like military bases or what have you, but it'll depend on the full pack customers we have. We're not actually going out with our own brand, we're going out and tagging other people's brands or other people's private labels. So as far as the sales, it's gonna be high dollar, and if we're evaluating it based on our revenue, which is primarily tolling. So that's gonna be way lower, but we should be able to double the revenue of where we're at today, and then some.
How many jobs are created?
Well, we promised up to 85. But we're already over 100, and if we go into extra machinery, a lot more than that.
$1,000 a day. That's fine. But I think it works.
No, it's just, you need that underway, crinkle.
Further comments? Questions?
Any other questions?
We can solicit for any comments. If there's none, you can close.
Not seeing any.
At this point, we have a quorum for our to the county IDA. At this point, I would call our meeting to order. And I'll swiftly more comments for the public hearing.
I would move that you approve both project A and project B, and we can still have a conversation on that. And after we take it.
Second. A motion has been made by Barry Marshall, second by Andy Reinflash. Further discussion, comments concerning public hearing 1 and 2. Lacking any, I will declare both public hearings closed. We'll move with the motion that Herman and Andy have just, we put both, we want both 1 and 2.
Why don't we vote on each of them separately?
Okay, so you're motioning for public hearing number 1.
Yes.
And Andy, that was your second. Discussion on public hearing number 1. Lacking any, roll call vote, please, Mike.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
Mr. Lattimore,
Yes.
Mr. Lattimore is absent. Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes.
is absent. Mr. Reinflash.
Yes. All members present voting in favor, the motion is carried. Is there a motion for public hearing number 2?
I made that, but I'll go number 2.
Second. Motion by Herb Marshall, seconded by Andy Reinflesh. Discussion on hearing number 2. To develop ingredients expansion project. If not, we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Mr. Lockwood,
Yes.
Mr. Lattimore,
Yes.
Mr. Shea,
Yes.
Mr. Marshall,
Yes,
Mr. Reinflesh.
Yes. All voting in favor? And public hearing number 2 carried. 2 members absent. And we discuss any other business at this time.
I'd like to just make this statement. The first time I ever talked to Brian Carl and I was at the bid opening for the new 4th Main sewer line to the plant. And he yelled at both of us for not attending a phone conference that he had with a number of people about the necessity for a water line because the current line was not adequate for the expansion. And I just wanted to kind of announce that all of us have been working on it, but we have talked with both of these, and I believe we have access to an easement across their property to get to the sewer plant. Last Wednesday, we hired an engineering firm to put together the design and placement of that water line. And Carl has already got the water line partway up West Tennessee Street to get there. So he don't yell at me anymore. I want him to know.
No promises.
That we are in the process of getting that water that he thought was absolutely necessary.
Thank you, sir.
Dustin,
I
can
do
you hear
have
me?
one. I think Jared was probably gonna bring the motion. I don't know if he can. And that's to be able to amend the LDA for the lot 4 so we can do early movement.
We included that in the first motion that was carried 5-0.
Okay.
We have the LDA amendment approved as part of the project approval. So that work can commence, and we confirmed also that the sales tax benefits for the entire project today. So talk to your vendors about the date of their invoices.
Okay.
And then there was a question on leasing to Huga Milk Ingredients, or actually Huga Marketing. I think.
You might
Operation of the
be
depot.
leasing back, the use of that lot.
That's fine. Yeah, we can just work that into the structure, and the lease back agreements allow for leasing mechanisms. We'll just build that in. We'll
Okay.
just have to see that lease and make sure there's some indemnity language there. That's pretty much all that needs to be done.
Okay. Thank you.
I think we're all set. There's still a lot of paper to burn through.
So here,
So,
is that mostly you?
he's charged by the word, not me.
Can you hear me, Justin?
Right, last meeting, we had tabled a motion to allow the IDA to proceed with a project to extend the water from Genesee to the milk plant. So I'd like to call that.
It looks like it's halfway there.
Well, that's a separate part. So I'd like to make a motion that if necessary, we would start a project to supply water from Genesee Street to the Cuba County water and sewer line at Genesee to supply the milk plant.
The IDA can start just a general capital project, which is just planning, design, and engineering for now. The budget or whatever capital project you want to build, you can look at your fund balance and kind of set some money aside or just create a budget for it. And then as you start getting closer to actual rights of way acquisition and engineering and actual buying stuff, you can crystallize it. You've been through it with sewers.
Yeah, it's just the start.
Step in the right direction. Yeah, great.
There's a second. Thank you. This is the discussion on Andy's motion. On favor? Any opposed? Is there any update on the sewer line?
I talked with the engineer just a couple days ago. They anticipate starting late in October and being completed before Thanksgiving. The reason they delayed the start of it was they had trouble getting some of the things for the pumping stations. And apparently they have a date when they can get them. The only thing we're still in question about is the generators for that. And we worked with the milk plant people and they think if our timetable of August is correct, that they can get by till that point by with a minimum flow there without having to have those standby generators, if that's still correct. Yes, but that's all I know about the.
Chapter was bending my ear while they had started. Any other business?
Well, the other thing we talked a little bit about was with these solar projects. If we could get some funding for.
Andy, there's 2 public hearings next week.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But we were wondering about in those past, if some funding.
Come up with a way to partner or figure out how some of those funds could be, utilized.
They're trying to get access to some of the electricity that's produced there for like the milk plant or whoever would be in need.
But Sun East, I don't think would be averse to having a conversation about offtake. And whether there's, I think looking at their interconnect agreements would determine whether they have gaps or needs that Calusa could fill. And if there's a way that Calusa could get a set aside through a power purchase agreement, that might help you put some more wires in the ground or in the air, if that's what you're looking at. So, we could certainly bring you guys into the discussion with Sun East. That's 38 megawatts, between the two of them, I'm sitting under. So I don't know, I forget on those, I think we have a copy of one interconnect agreement, they may have a PPA on one of them, but the other may be more of a community solar going into the grid that they can lock something, it might be a better deal for them, so it's worth talking about for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Then the other thing, Herb, myself, and Bob have working as a transition team, transition CNF. So we probably like a motion to form that team officially. Well, because we've been kind of working ad hoc.
I think as a chairman, I just appoint the 3 of you. But if you want a motion, that's.
No, that's fine, as long as there's some kind of record of it. That's fine, Ray.
But if you want a motion,
No, we just want to be.
I know you've been keeping up to speed on everything you've done, and that's.
It's much. Yeah.
There's a lot of moving parts to that.
Yeah, it's
There's a lot of troubles there, Ray.
yeah.
You ain't building the milk plant, man.
I'm gonna look like you.
Terrible.
I think it's come together, it's just a lot,
There's at least a chance that it's going to.
a lot of moving parts. Did you have any comments about the progress or not? Okay.
Sometimes we have a good meeting. Today we had a bad meeting.
We had a meeting today.
3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Thank you for not inviting me.
It started off bad, it got worse, and then it ended up better. That's my view anyway, but
we're being with tune-ups.
When was the meeting today? I might ask.
where,
What?
it was,
I know the city manager mentioned to me.
the city manager was there, Ryan Pine was there, and Cynthia Aikman, is that
Yeah,
her name? They were there, and they're concerned about the employees and how they would be handled. And they have a huge desire to have everything secret.
yeah,
And I told them that they need to learn from their past mistakes, that their secrecy has gotten them into the position that they're currently in.
that's
And
exactly
if
right.
they can't get over that, they might just as well go home and let somebody else do it. That's why we didn't end up all that.
But other than that, it was very positive.
But you're that's exactly where it is.
That's what we tried to tell them, and they're not quite ready to accept that yet.
Yeah, they're only on stage 3 of the agreement process. They're still stuck in denial.
if you're ready, ready for a motion to adjourn. Before I do that, I'd like to thank Justin for coming up here from Albany.
Thank you.
It was kind of my idea.
Yes,
The
sir.
trouble we had with the permit system and everything, I didn't know whether we was gonna have this group or another 100 people here finding fault with something, and I thought having Justin here was the right thing to do to answer any of the legal questions. Thank you.
Yeah, whatever's easiest for you.
I told Mike, I told Mike.
Just
this
email it to
afternoon,
me.
and I thought, if this was a rural project, we'd have had 100 people.
Oh, yeah, right?
Wow.
Then
Yeah.
I move we.
No, I'll need an
To
invoice.
our next regular meeting.
Second.
Is any further discussion?
Perfect. And how much you buy roughly a week to take care of them?
This is a historical thing, so.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It really is. This is the biggest project that we've done in the county for a long, long time. And it really looks like it can be
I
successful.
have no idea, but whatever, just,
And we want to thank you for your support to it all. You just had a board meeting this week that we talked about the fact that we've been getting an awful lot of support from you, and actually, pretty much every board that we've been involved in has been very.
okay, that's fine. And I'll bump that up to about 65, Doug.
Here,
You're-
and I really appreciate the fact that that's happening.
A lot more, okay. You gotta make some money.
This well,
Yeah, make some money.
and mostly on budget, right, Chip?
So you use the water
Is that a
behind
statement
water.
or question?
Question, how are you finding employees? There's a big
Yeah, so
sign.
you be careful not to dig up the grass because it's fresh grass.
It's just,
We have a communication plan and we're working on
I'm just
it.
curious, you don't want to tell me.
But it actually, even our existing facility and our existing business, we've been bringing some folks on a little bit early. We know it's gonna be harder and harder. So we actually have an offsite office just because we're getting ready to get people in earlier. We know we have to have a real good game plan for that. So,
It's tough finding people.
yeah.
It's been fun working with you. It's been fun trying.
It's been great. Thank you. So Dan can just say a couple words. He's on our board for the project that even do this in the first place.
I think as far as connection to the area and that type of thing in our already established plan, making milk ingredients has been really good and been successful, but you see those ingredients move outside the area and do something else. And when the pandemic had first started, there were quite a few people that contacted the plant to say, hey, how can we support what you're doing, your local business, that type of thing, and there wasn't much we could do because our ingredients scatter and go to be used someplace else, so they're hard to track down. I think as we transition into a plant that makes consumer products that you can hold in your hand, it's going to be so much more exciting because you can go to Tops and say, you know what, I know where that came from, and you can actually grab it and do something. So, it won't have a Cuba brand on it right out the gate, but I think it'll be exciting for me, and I think the tie to the community to know, you can go to the store and find something and you know exactly where they came from and know exactly where the ingredients are. So it's kind of an exciting thing for the future.
The other thing that's really good is because it's consumer products and it's going to go into retail and food service. And it's going to go into places like, let's say a Walmart or a Wegmans or maybe even a Starbucks. You start looking at it and you go, that's a completely different set of customers. And you think, we're building this $170 million project. It sounds kind of risky. It's actually in the end going to be less risky.
More diverse.
Because it's more diverse. And as long as you have a consumer products, ingredients, and then a bulk milk marketing, you have three options of being able to go to market, which is less risky in the long run.
Sure. It's very exciting.
Oh, we appreciate your support. Thank you.
You adjourning?
Should we?